Hello, Benjamin Callenberg, consciousazine.net. How do organic portals feel to me? How do I feel their attacks? The energy sucking, all of that. But the title of this video is Organic Portals are Bullies, or Psycho Bullies, like mental psyche bullies. So these Psyche Bullies, it's definitely a good way to describe it. Let's take an example of the city. I don't enjoy cities because the onslaught of energetic attack is just immense. And, it doesn't matter how strong physically you are, that can make a difference to your aura and so on. And if you're healthy, your aura is better. For instance, your lymph system. The lymph system, if it's clear, that's the outer shell of the aura. And so that can be really helpful. But that just kind of makes you more sensitive. And, it's interesting, whenever I go in the city, I can't spend more than a few hours there. And I mean, really, I can't spend any time there because the whole event seems to be just hive-minded attacks the entire time. You can see an upcoming gang stalking video of mine, which is gang stalking starts 44 kilometers out. A day I went to the city recently and I thought I'm definitely going to videotape this because I knew I can expect it. I'm so aware of this that I just know it's always going on. That gang stalking is happening to everyone who is a soul, and if you're not aware of it, it just means you're not aware of it. So it just means you can't see the pattern. It's the same as always. There's some quote about out there about like everything is understandable or something. You just got to be able to see the pattern. Anyway, so they're definitely psychic bullies, and every time I go to the city, I just get massively attacked. The brighter you are, the more joyous you walk around, happy and so on, the more you'll find this. You'll see people staring at you. That's the hive mind organic portal stare. I also made a video about that. And it's like, not only do they stare at you to call on the other hive mind nodes or organic portal, demon-filled organic portals to slowly surround you basically until someone can suck some energy from you, until one of them can attach a psychic sucker. And then this is like a feeding tube. They feed off your energy. So this is very interesting because that seems to not just be something that is dismissible or doesn't happen often. It's always the case. The attack happens until they siphon some energy. That's what I've noticed. There is no getting away from it because they communicate on a hive mind basis. So, that person to your left is psychically communicating to that person on your right over there, even 100 meters away, 20 meters away, whatever. And, this is the hive mind connecting to itself and talking and trying to orchestrate how it's best to get the energy out of you. So I find that it's always the case in every single time that you're around people. You could be around one of your friends and it might not be happening because they're an aware soul human or something. But I mean every time you go into public, like a city, even just a town, a shop, whatever, it's always the case. It is for me anyway. I'm gang stalked 24/7. There is no relief except for isolation. And that's part of the indigo evolution, so don't be scared of it. You'll just meditate more and become more intelligent and so on. So don't be scared to be by yourself. It's definitely enjoyable for me anyway. So yeah, it's always the case. It's very interesting. They're psychic bullies for sure. You can just be standing at the bus stop and it starts. You see it begin when someone looks at you. This is what I noticed. The first instance of these psychic bully attacks and energy sucking events of the hive-minded attack nature, I noticed they always begin with some derogatory stare. They look down on you to make you're buzzing, right? And you're in your third eye and you're daydreaming and blah, blah, blah. And then they snap you out of it with this psychic bully, deranged, demonic, derogatory stare. And you notice it, and then you suddenly come down into the second, third dimension. You come down back into your body. And that's when they can start to energy steal you and take your attention. And where attention goes, energy flows. Don't forget. So I find it interesting. It's 100% of cases in public. Every single time I go out, there is no exception. It doesn't happen on a Tuesday or it doesn't happen on a Sunday. It's all the time. In any public space anywhere, and it always begins with the derogatory stare. Now, the derogatory stare could come from a woman, like yesterday, a woman riding past you on a bike and looking down on you, and their attempt is to make you come down from your spirit. You see, you're buzzing up there in your third eye and looking up through the crown and looking into your, soul and spirit bodies, and they bring you down, and then they can start to take your attention and annoy you, bring your energy down, create very bad abhorrent vibrations through your body, and this starts to stick you to the surface, and you start to get bogged. You get bogged in the second dimension, basically. And energy gets stuck there as well. So it can be hazardous for your health in many, many ways. And it stops the chi flow. Chi is called life force energy for a reason. So basically they're killing you. I hope you understand this. They are killing you. And if they don't kill you physically, which basically they are, but they're definitely killing you a large percent mentally. Takes you out of your spirit. They want to try and make you, like them, a spiritless human, without your own spirits, without your own thought, basically. And you'll notice this begins to happen. I mean, within a few hours in the city, I really noticed that part. I'm like, I've got to get out of here. I've got to get back to nature. I've got to go ground, get all these bad vibrations off me, and etc. So I just wanted to make a video on this because it's concluded. I am concluded. It's 100% of the time in public. It's always begins with the stare. And so remember, they're a hive mind, and they don't know what is going on. Organic portals do not know they are organic portals. They just think they're a human, a regular person. That's as far as they think. Even if you introduce this theory to them, they'll just dismiss it and deny it because they believe themselves to be alive. And we know the power of thought via placebo studies. So we know that mind is over matter, and they have a type of believing themselves to be alive, but they may not have the facts. They may not understand the metaphysical stuff at all. The Merkaba, the chakras, etc. So, it's interesting though, this happens 100% of cases, and it starts with the derogatory stare. And then, that's one node of the matrix hive mind, the derogatory stare. And then what I see happening is that it moves to the next person or node or organic portal, and then it can be the same demon or it can be a different demon coming through that second node. But this is how it works. There's they're all one conglomerate or hive mind, and furthermore there's many demons coming through them, so it can be the same one or a different one. And what's interesting is that you get passed along these nodes. They definitely try to keep up with your position. People appear very randomly. People always talk about I've heard other people say that blocking, like physically blocking your path physically blocking your path and so on. That stuff, yes, it is all definitely occurring. I've looked at this very carefully over many years, so this is not a glib conclusion. This is something I've concluded over many, many years now, and I'm definitely ready to say everything I've just said, 100% here, 100% there. That it always starts with the derogatory stare. That's another thing. And so, it's a energy sucking event, and what happens is eventually you notice them enough for them, to be taking your energy. So yeah, you can, just be centered in your work and act busy or be busy, but by that stage, you really need to do that the whole time from the start. But if even one derogatory stare gets you, even if one of them, manages to take your attention and you notice them, it's all over. From there, I've noticed. You may as well, bail out and go back to the forest. Because even after the first derogatory stare, it's all over. They've got your position, they've connected to your energy, and so on and so forth. So say you're sitting, somewhere in a park square, in a park, or, just in a square, an urban setting. I'll use my example that I went to the city the other day. It started with a stare as well, and always does. And then, by the time I get to the city, many other nodes of the hive mind have looked at me and they look at you like, oh, like a really, how do I describe it? They're in awe. They're in awe of you. When you're in awe of something, you're like, whoa. That's how they all look at you. Like they're actually zombies. It's like a zombified look. But then, once I'm in the city, and then it really starts, that's when the psychic bullying starts, and it's bullying. Now, it doesn't have to be in the city, it's just, I'm telling you that example because you're going to notice it there for sure. You can't not notice it. There's too many of them, to not notice it unless you're unaware of this. And you just think it's people looking at you funny for no reason. And the universe is happenstance, and nothing happens for reason or meaning. But I'm not like that. I see the reason and the meaning in all of this. And it's definitely psychic bullying, and that bullying brings down your spirit. Again, every attack that they do on you, from the gang stalking embarrass you attack, all the way to, physical bullying, it's all meant to bring down your spirit. Or your spirits, we say. So it brings down your spirit, and it brings you down into a level where they can start to mess with you, fourth dimensionally, and then second dimensionally, where actual transfer of particles is happening. So what's interesting is that it always ends in, a sucker being attached, or many suckers. You can just look at those energy vampire diagrams and depictions on Google Images to start to get to know what I mean. But basically, I've also mentioned in a video, they move you to cause aura fracture. So they'll get you angry. They're bullying you. It's annoying. And so you start to get, frustrated. You think maybe you're guilty of something, and they make you feel responsible for something. Maybe you didn't do anything at all. They're just trying to make you feel lower. This lower contextualizes you. I made a video on that too. So it always ends in, them in multiple people attacking you and bullying you. Say you're an hour or two into this and you're in the city now. It's going to be at this stage. There'll be multiple attacks at once. It starts with one single node identifying you, giving you a derogatory stare, and so on. They see your light. They just see your light, and for some reason they hate it. They're like, I don't know, they get all uppity about you being bright and happy and so on. I guess because, some part of them as a body is miserable, but also the demons in them are like miserable creatures, They're minions. They're not, they don't have their own life stream and choice and all that. No, not choice, but they don't have their own life stream, I should say. They're a minion for someone else, that's not their own life. They don't have a life. It's just like I say to you all, when you're working for a corporation giving away your sacred labor for pennies on the infinity. You just gave it all away. You gave yourself away. Stupid much? Anyway, you should only be doing and focusing on great work and yourself. Focus, pocus, magnus opus. Now anyway, I noticed, say, 2 hours into the journey, you're in the city now, you're in the town. It could be 15 minutes for you, it could be an hour. I'm just referring to my personal trip the other week when I went to the city, which was 40 kilometers. So by the time you're there in the conglomerate area and there's multiple attacks going on you and multiple nodes of the hive mind attacking you, that's when really the energy suckers are attached, and you're basically drained of your glowing coat of awareness. And you notice that your glowing coat of awareness is being drained because you suddenly become less and less aware. You're not buzzing in your third eye, you're not having epiphanies, you're suddenly just frustrated and annoyed and involved, which is another nape of the neck attack. I mentioned guilty, frustrated, responsible, and also involvement. These are all ganglii associated with the nervous system ganglii, middle nervous system associated with mantras and psyche on the neck. And this is where they do a lot of attacking. But for instance, your heart is Mother Kundalini, I am my own spirit, or I am my own true self. And they take you out of that as well as all the other ganglii and chakra. So by this stage, you're, really becoming the surface, really becoming more into your ego, body, and that sort of association. And then they're increasing pain. They bring you into a pain body, and then suddenly, at a certain threshold, you appear more brightly to them. And I mean a different type of brightness I was talking about before. In some other realm, suddenly the demon can see you better when you're in more of a pain body. And, this is when really the energy sucking is at its maximum. And so you're maybe sitting at a table and there's 4 people around you psychic bullying you. And these are what we call organic portals, soulless humans. And, they're causing aura fracture and all this. So see all my other videos.